In high school, we played a game. Many years later, we got back together to play one more. Little did we know, this time, the game was real. Join me, Aram Vartian, on Start Playing Games for a brand new type of fantasy role-playing. In Die RPG, you play a group of real-world, deeply flawed adults who are transported into a fantasy realm via a predatory, sinister role-playing game. The game transforms your characters into paragons and rewards them with strange and frightening powers. In Die RPG, you are confronted with your truest desires and deepest fears. And only you can decide when the game is over. Check out all of my available Start Playing Games campaigns at aram.gay. Yep. I just need to grab a few things in the basement, and I'll be right up. Come here. Come here. Hey, good to see you again. So listen, Dylan doesn't know that I'm here. I know you all been waiting patiently as we work on Season 2 of Kill Every Monster. We have 13 amazing guests lined up, including Anthony Rapp from Star Trek Discovery as the Cambion. You'll see the premiere of Season 2 with Carlos Cisco as the Coatl on May 16th. As a special thank you to all of our listeners, I'm breaking some of the bonus content out of the Patreon vault. After we recorded the episode, I wanted to find out what happened to Assad's vampire lover before the distraught immortal turned his rage on the Church of Lathander. I ended up writing a 12-minute action scene. Shit.
Aram? What was that?
Here, quick. Take this and go. And if you haven't yet, be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Podcast Addict. It's nothing, Dylan. Just getting some dragon food. Welcome to Kill Every Monster. Exterior, a seaside keep in early evening. We soar over an emerald field dotted with farms and small villages. Grass narrows and gives way to steep cliffs on either side as the land rises above a roiling sea. At the peak sits a keep with a high stone tower, peering out over moss-covered walls. The keep is appointed as a residence for the two men who call it home. Dozens of paintings line the walls of the grand foyer, depicting the couple and their attendants over the last 100 years. One of the men is shorter with dark hair and close-set amber eyes. He rarely smiles. The other always sports a devious grin. Long blonde curls partially hide his ice-blue eyes. The servants around them grow old and vanish from future depictions, but the handsome couple always retains their youthful vigor. In the main dining room sits the taller blonde vampire. Assad is dressed in rich emerald robes embroidered with a forest of gold and silver evergreens. A long, heavy sigh rumbles from him as yet another servant enters.
I appreciate the effort to cheer me, Hubert, but...
Assad pauses. Hubert's footsteps are wrong. The hunter, a high elf named Adamil, sprints toward Assad. He is wrapped in a black fur cloak that vibrates when he moves. Assad catches a reflection of the shifting intruder in his wine glass as a trio of daggers fly forth. The vampire moves with preternatural speed, dodging two of the blades as they slam into the table. The third sinks into his shoulder. Ignoring the injury, Assad stands and spins in an instant, hurling the chair in which he was seated. 60 pounds of wood and leather soar through the space where the hunter appears to be, and shatters against the wall. Closing the distance between them, Automil produces a 3-inch sphere of tightly woven iron bands and flicks it at the vampire, who catches it with ease.
Cold iron is for the Fey hunter.
So noted.
Can I hear?
Automil shouts in Elven and the iron bands of binding activate. The ball rapidly expands, encasing Assad in thick straps that draw tighter as he struggles. Automil pulls another pair of daggers from leather braces too small to have hidden them, and slashes at every gap he can find. Magical blades eviscerate the vampire over and over again until rage doubles its undead strength and splinters the bands like straw. The hunter flips backwards, dodging shards of rusted iron. In a moment, the vampire is upon him. Assad is soaked in the blood of a dozen mortal wounds, lacerations that already begin to heal. The vampire reaches for Automil's throat, but the hunter's form is elusive and not where it appears to be. Fingernails grow into talons as Assad roars and slashes the air in frustration. Automil pivots around the open doorway, slowing just enough for the vampire to catch hold of his cloak of displacement. Its magic falters, and Assad finds himself staring into his attacker's face. It is pale and narrow, wrapped in black cloth save for a pair of hateful lavender eyes. Stumbling as the tendons in his right knee struggle to knit themselves back together, Assad glances down to see 2 of his servants lying dead in the hall with their throats cut.
Why? They were mortal.
Automil smirks at the vampire's indignation. They were in my way. The vampire tears the cloak from Automil, revealing a muscular high elf in a black bodysuit. Twin gold rings connect to form a bridge between the index and forefinger on his right hand. Several wooden stakes, dyed ebony and inlaid with silver, are strapped to a bandolier across his chest. A small copper lantern sways from his utility belt, bathing him in a pale green light. When the light spills over the vampire, its skin sparkles like diamonds. The hunter is already retrieving another pair of blades from his bracers of flying daggers. With a leap and a roar, Assad attacks. Automil deflects and dodges several strikes before the creature's inhuman strength and speed overwhelms him. Flung across the hall, he rolls with the impact, hurling more daggers as he continues to retreat. The vampire strides forth, lifting a hand to cover its face. Assad winces as the blades sink into his forearm. The cold magic of their iron actually hurts, and the hunter seems able to generate an endless supply. For the first time in over a decade, the vampire is not bored. Automil backpedals, taking a defensive stance as the creature unleashes a flurry of slashing claws and snapping teeth. Automil manages to evade them all, but his boot turns on the tasseled edge of a silk rug. In that moment of imbalance, a pale hand seizes his throat.
Enough!
The vampire lifts Automil into the air and throws him through a wall. The high elf crashes into the study and tumbles over a couch.
What right do you have to come here and do this?
The vampire demands, as he steps through the hole Automil made. Assad's wounds continue to heal, but blood still seeps from his leg and neck. His flesh has grown milky and translucent. His eyes are shot red with blood and rage.
What coward sent such a frail boy to fight me?
As the vampire strides into the room, Automil rises from behind the couch with a platinum and brass horn at the ready. Her name was Martha. The hunter blows a single note on his horn of blasting. The resulting shockwave hurls Assad back into the hallway, crashing into the far wall. Automil's hand drops the horn at his waist, retrieves a pair of glass vials, and lifts them to his lips. The first contains a slurry, thick and gray like pottery slip. The second runs clear, like water, with dozens of glowing stars suspended inside. They both pulsate with magic. The vampire looks around his ruined grand foyer. He struggles to regain his equilibrium as blood runs from burst eardrums. Paintings and the people they depict lay shattered all around him. At that moment, Assad's knee finally heals. He clears a dozen feet between them in a standing jump, ready to deal a killing blow. His lover Aconite always called it his no longer amused gambit.
Let's end this, Hunter.
He is surprised to find himself so easily caught and held aloft with one hand. Rid of his magical cloak, Automil still vibrates slightly as the potion of speed accelerates his reflexes. His eyes have been replaced by a pair of marble orbs that mimic the titans whose might he has borrowed from a potion of giant strength. Assad has just enough time to appreciate both choices before his head shatters the tile floor. The hunter goes quiet as he methodically breaks the vampire's legs and arms. Automil allows himself a slight smile when the creature whimpers. He tosses the momentarily helpless immortal body through a glass door and onto a balcony. Yes, creature. Let's end this. Automil lifts Assad's broken body, growls another command in Elven, and the ring of spell storing on his fore and index fingers begins to glow. The night seems to fold open as a shaft of pure daylight descends from the sky, enveloping the vampire in searing radiance. He does not struggle as his flesh burns and his bones begin to crumble.
My lover will come for you.
Assad snarls. You were the real threat, Automil replies. Let him come. For more information about us, notes for each episode, and ways you can help support the show, head over to killeverymonster.com.
If any of the ideas we've discussed on the show have sparked some of your own, tell us about it on Twitter at KEM Podcast. You'll find me at DJ Malenfant and Aram at Aram Vardian.
For ad-free episodes, early releases, bonus episodes, print-ready maps, Dylan's DM notes, and my character sheets from each encounter, head over to patreon.com/killeverymonster. You can also listen to ad-free episodes and bonus content by subscribing to the show on Apple Podcasts.
Our theme intro and many of the sound effects you hear in the show were created by BattleBards. Check them out at battlebards.com.
This episode was produced by Aram Vartian and Dylan Malenfant. I also did the editing.
And we'll see you next time
For Kill Every Monster. This show was produced and edited by Dead Ghost Productions. Find out more about us and all the shows we make at deadghostpro.com.